The One Piece market has gone up so much in the last 7 days, and a lot of people are thinking, should they cash out while the market's hot? Should they maybe sell a little bit to offset some of their costs? Well, today that's what I'm going to be answering. How should you approach selling your One Piece boxes? So today I'm basically going to be presenting to you why I don't think it's a good idea to sell a lot of your One Piece boxes. I'm not saying to sell none of it, I'm not saying to sell all of it, but this is something that can be really big, and I don't think that it would be worth taking that risk missing out on it. So today we've got 4 points on why I don't think it's worth selling it, and then we've also at the end got a good approach for when you eventually do take profits. How should you approach it? Because let's be real, we all make an investment to make money. You don't just do that to hold a box and then never sell it. You're going to sell it eventually. So then how should you approach that? So that's what we'll be talking about in today's video. So let's start off with my 4 reasons on why I don't think you should start selling them now. Alright, number 1 is I don't know anybody in the One Piece trading card game who actually doesn't regret selling something. So I joined the One Piece TCG when OPO3 came out. I stayed until like 07, 08. Then I kind of left. It got really stale, it got incredibly repetitive. Now they did pick up things about OPO9 where they really started to make the sets good, but there was a very long period where the sets were just so repetitive and a lot of people left and they just got bored of it. But the thing is, on my way out, I liquidated all of my blue bottoms. Now, I know a bunch of people who do this as well. I made a pretty decent amount of money off of it. I bought them for like $600, then I liquidated them for about $1,100, so I did decent on that. But the thing is that if you're investing in a brand new TCG and you're already investing in an IP that's really massive to begin with, it does kind of sting, right? So blue bottoms, every single person I know who has ever sold a blue bottom, they regret it. Everybody regrets it. That's the number one thing. Another thing, OPO5. Everybody regrets selling their OPO5 boxes. Me, personally, I couldn't get any on release. It was impossible to get OPO5 on release. I did manage to pre-order a couple. However, I did cancel them because I got way too many, so then I had to cancel the whole order, but I regret doing that. Every single step of the way, selling anything, myself and everybody I know regrets it. The thing about Pokemon and the thing about other trading card games is they're a lot more predictable, right? So with other trading card games, they're incredibly predictable. You have very large amounts of money investing in them. You have people cracking it, ripping chips. You have all these different history to go based off. You've got like 20-year-old, like you can look at the data of like certain Pokemon or characters, how they perform on certain cards, right? Like there's so much data to go based off. With One Piece, there is very little data to go based off. So because of this, a lot of people brought in their knowledge of other trading card games, like, oh, maybe you sell once you're up 100% or 200%, but it's like with One Piece, because it's so new, that doesn't quite apply, right? Like imagine you did that with Pokemon vintage boxes. It's virtually the same with this. Everybody has a story about how they owned 1 million vintage boxes and how they would have been a gazillionaire if they were still holding it to this day. Well, do you want to do the same thing with One Piece? Because for me, I mean, I was eating mud when vintage boxes were cheap, but at least once I've become a conscious like level where I can think and like actually make money, this is my boom or bust, where it's like, am I going to be telling my kids in the future how I would have been a millionaire, or am I going to make it happen, right? So that's number 1. I don't want to be a moon boy, and I don't want to just constantly say like, it's going to the moon. But at the same time, it is a massive IP and it is really new. So that is something to consider. Anyways, we have a couple of things to talk about. Okay, so with the TCG, because it's so new, this kind of piggybacks off of what I said before, but just adding a couple of things. So you're either going to make a crap load of returns, or it's going to go to zero, right? There's no in between. This is not going to be a $300 booster box in 2 years or in 5 years. You know what? In 5 years, this is either a $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 booster box or it's $0. There's no in between. That's the thing. And it may not be specifically this. Maybe PIBO1, OPO5, but whatever. The point is that it's either going to make these insane returns or it's going to make nothing. It's either going to make history or it's going to destroy your bank account. So if you're selling, like once you're up 100%, why put on so much risk for such little returns, right? Because if you want to make a 100%, go to Pokemon. Do that. Now, for me personally, I hold both Pokemon and One Piece. Now, I hold a very large majority. I hold about 6 figures of Pokemon, so I'm quite safe there. But the thing is, with Pokemon, when it doubles, triples, quadruples, I'm not going to sell my entire position, but I'm happy to offload a couple boxes and lower my average. But with One Piece, I have doubled my money on my cases. My cases of OP13 have officially doubled my money. So now I've got to ask myself, well, do I want to sell one case and then keep the other one? Well, honestly, no. I don't want to. I feel like in a year, 2, 3, 4 years time, this is going to be in the thousands. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I don't think anyone's realistically debating that in 4 years time that box is going to be like $1,000, or maybe in 5 or 6 years time. But the point is, in an X amount of time, it's going to be really expensive. So that is really something to consider. Is it's like, this can go to zero tomorrow. Okay, it probably won't. I don't even know if it can, but let's agree on something. It's more likely to go to zero than Pokemon, okay? And then Pokemon is more likely to go to zero than the stock market. And then the stock market is more likely to go to zero tomorrow than gold, right? So it's like, why would you invest in a really risky asset, but then sell once you're up 10 or 20% or 30%? If you want to make those returns, go to the stock market. If you want to make 100%, go to Pokemon. But if you're investing in an ultra risky box that is a couple months old in the hands of one company that doesn't have the best track record, and you have all these different levels of risk, so then why would you settle for such crappy returns? Like, does that make sense? I hope it does. So for me, if I want to make a 100% on a box, I'm not investing in One Piece, I'm investing in Pokemon. But if I want to make 500%, I'm investing in One Piece. So I hope that makes sense, right? So don't sell early because you're either going to zero or you're going to the moon, let's just say. But at the same time, you're putting way more risk. So if you cut yourself short, all you've done is make the same returns as Pokemon, but you've increased your risk by an exponential amount, if that makes sense. Okay, so number 3 is that there are plenty of collectors and people who are going to enjoy the hobby, but they just haven't heard about it. You see, a lot of us are chronically online. Well, okay, I'm talking for myself. Honestly, that's not true. Most of my audience are like 35 to 40-year-olds, so I would assume you guys probably aren't chronically online, but a lot of people are chronically online and they'll hear about it first, especially if you're really switched on in this industry. Like, you've got to think, we are right now, us kind of people, everybody watching this video, me, you, everybody, we are investing in something that is younger than the cough. Okay, I can't say the actual word because I'm scared that YouTube is going to go down my throat, but you know what I'm talking about. It is younger than that. So I understand it feels like it's a slam dunk, and I agree with you, I'm on your side, but at the same time, there is a lot of risk. If you're like hearing about One Piece this early, then it shows that, I suppose, you're a little bit more tapped into it, right? You're a little bit more tapped into the investing side of it. You're a bit more tapped into the collecting side of it. You're a bit more tapped into trading cards. We hear about it soon. But the thing is, what about the 12-year-old who can't afford it, but then in 4 years' time, he can afford it because he then gets a job at Macca's? What about that guy? What about, so all of the people below, let's just say 12 and below, that want One Piece but they can't buy it because it's too expensive, in 4 or 5 years time they're going to buy it. So you have a wave of pretty much guaranteed demand right there, because, must I remind you, One Piece is popular by like 12-year-olds all the way up to like 40, 45 plus. So when it comes to One Piece, you've got that whole generation, so you've got that constant influx of demand. Every single year, you have 14-year-olds turning 15, getting a job, and then putting that money into something that they enjoy, right? So you've got this whole new wave right there. But then on top of that, you've got people who just haven't heard about it. There's a lot of people, like, there's probably some guy out there that's going to discover it in March of next year, and then he's going to go like, man, how did I not hear about this? And maybe he got like an ad for like a toy store that had One Piece trading cards, and he's like, oh my goodness, they're doing that now? I gotta buy into that. That sounds cool as. But the thing is, it's not going to happen overnight. A good example is Bitcoin, right? For anyone who follows Bitcoin, it has made a tremendous amount of progress in the last 24 months. It has made a serious amount of progress to the level that 24 months ago, first of all, if you were holding Bitcoin, you would just consider an idiot. But also, the government didn't take it serious. There was only like one country, which I think was like El Salvador or something like that, that actually like took it serious and invested in it. But then now you skip 24 months later, and it's like the amount of progress it's made has exponentially grown by like tenfold. But the thing is, why is the price not $1 million? Why is the price not 500K? The reason is because these things take time for the price to reflect, right? So the popularity might be there, or you might have people who will invest in it, but they're not just draining their entire bank account, buying up as much as possible now. Of course, there's people like that, but at the same time, it's like, it's a slow but steady growth, if that makes sense. And I think that's something a lot of people don't get, right? Like, a lot of people who watch my videos, me and a bunch of people I know, we pull as many strings as we can to make sure that we don't have too much invested, but we're investing what we can. We're constantly like go, go, go. We're really switched on. But a lot of people are just going to take their time. They're just going to invest $100 here, $200 there, or not even invest, just open it up. Enjoy the trading card game. So you've got to think these people, they're not just going to hear about One Piece and then go, oh my goodness, and there goes my bank account. There's a very small amount of people who do it. The majority slowly but surely just enjoys it. And that's why with Pokemon, you would think, why is this amazing set that just came out? How is it not a $1,000 box when the MSRP is like $150, right? How is it not that expensive? Everybody knows it's so good. Everybody knows it's going to go up in the future. It's like, yeah, sure. But there's a very small amount of people that just drain their bank account and then just buy it. Most people slowly but surely enjoy it. They slowly but surely so even if it's really good, even if everyone can agree it'll be that price in the future, it's not going to happen immediately. So very, very long yapping session, but the point is it's almost like it lags in a sense, right? Lots of popularity, but the price doesn't reflect it just yet. Now, obviously in the last week, it's literally gone insane. I cannot stress this enough. I literally made a video talking about, man, OPO 5, it's a really good box. OPO 9 is a really good box. And I'm updating the spreadsheet and I'm like, are you serious? Is OPO 9 seriously almost a $400 booster box? Honestly, at this point, it probably is. It's probably a $400 booster box. I haven't even checked in 2 days. It's probably $10,000 by now. And the final point is that we don't know the ceiling where this can go. With other TCGs, we do know the ceiling. You can very accurately predict it. In fact, if the TCG is old enough, you can accurately predict even the few months that a box will go up. Let me give you a good example. There's a box called Paldea Evolved with Pokemon. Now, I've been in Pokemon for many years. I'm very experienced in it. So with my experience, but also a lot of research, I was able to predict the price 16 months in advance on what the box price would be. That's how repetitive Pokemon is. That's how repetitive some of these trading card games are. They just do the same thing over and over again. I texted my mate at 3 a.m. I said to him, mate, I just did a ton of research. This box in 16 months will be this price in March this year. And he said to me, yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, let's see. A year and a bit of time goes by, and I was accurate by about 30 to 40 days. You know when the S&P 500 say this analyst predict it will be this price? Yeah, that was literally me. I was the analyst and I predicted it was going to be that price, and I was right by about a month's margin, right? You can't do that with One Piece because there is no ceiling. So do you want to find out the hard way in a sense? Now, I know this is almost ignorant because it's pretending there's no risk. I don't want to go ahead and say hold all your boxes, don't sell it. That's really dumb to sell. If you're a seller, you're an idiot. So say Pokemon vintage boxes, right? If you bought first edition boxes, let's just say you bought 6 of them, and then it went up, those went up quite quickly, the first edition boxes. I think 1 or 2 years after they came out, they were a couple $100, they're $500 or something. It was around that range. I don't really know, but I saw a very old clip of it online of card shop owner. He was amazed by the price. Okay, so let's just say you bought them for $70 each, but then let's just say they're now $500. Well, this is what you can do. You can sell all of them and you can have $3,000 and now you can go on a vacation, or you can sell one, which immediately makes your cost basis $0, all of the boxes are free, and then you can just hold on to them for the long term. And I think that's the best approach with One Piece. So there is something called a zero cost basis. I'm sure you guys know what it is, but it's basically where you sell however much you need of profit in order to make it where you've broken even and then you keep the certain item. So let's just say you buy 10 booster packs for $10 each. Now they've gone up to $11. So if you sell 9 of those booster packs, they've all gone up $1. Remember that, okay? You sell 9 of them, you get $99 back. Let's just round it up to $100, okay, just for the sake of the example. But you still have 1 booster pack left. So what this means is this final booster pack is actually free. So this means that you have a free asset you can hold on to for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if the trading card game becomes irrelevant or it goes to the moon. Either way, it doesn't matter. You have no skin in the game. However, the problem is doing this is extremely exhausting. The reward is very low. The yield is very low, and it requires a lot of time. It complicates everything. The best way to do it is let it at least double. This is what a lot of people do. This is what I did when I started with OP13. So for anyone who's wondering, I bought 26 boxes of OP13. I bought 2 loose boxes and then 2 sealed cases. My average price was 1700 a case, something about that, about there. The thing is, what happened was my logic was I'm gonna buy 2 loose boxes, and then once I double my money, then I'll just keep the other one for free, right? And my logic was like I could just chuck it in the closet and just forget about it. But then as I was looking into it, I was thinking like, all right, I haven't looked at One Piece in a while. They're actually getting their act together. Like, these sets are really good. Look at the old sets. If I'm being honest with you, they were pretty disappointing. Like, okay, they were good, but they got really old really quickly. But then I looked at OP11 and I looked at OP09, PBO2, PRBO1, PRBO2, and all these boxes, and I went, oh, there's some potential with this. Like, this has now got my attention because I bought these because a friend of mine who's a card shop owner, he said to me, like, dude, you got to buy these. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll just buy 2 boxes. I trust you. But then I looked into it and I was like, oh, they've actually really improved this trading card game. Then I went, all right, you know what? They're actually doing a really good job at this. They've really improved it. All right, well, I'm going to buy 2 cases of it. So now I have 2 cases and 2 loose boxes. Now this is my mentality. I can either sell one so the other one is free, which was originally what I was going to do. Originally, I looked at this and I was like, all right, once I double my money, I'm just going to sell one. The only problem is that with One Piece boxes, it seems like the good sets don't really have much of a problem going to like $500 pretty quickly. So considering my average price per box was like $160, if it goes to $500, then that means all I would need to do is like sell 5 boxes, and then once I go to $500, and then my entire entry would be free. I would have no cost on anything. Everything would turn out to be free. So that is, I believe, the best approach is once you're up like 500%, your best bet is then sell accordingly to that. So you buy 5 boxes for $100 each. Your entry is $500 in total. They go to $500 each in value, which means that now they're worth $2,500. You sell one, so you get your initial investment back. Now you have 4 sealed boxes. That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. I think that's a really good hedge against risk, because at least you're holding a good amount. Bit of a yapping session, but that's why I don't really think it's worth selling your boxes a little bit too early. But hey, that's just my take. But yeah, thank you so much for watching.